Well, good evening, and welcome to this next episode, or this episode of Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Have some interesting information for you guys tonight. We've got a special guest on tonight that I saw the other day. Actually, he's never been on the show before, and I've only met him this afternoon. He has installed something on his X-Carve that I thought was fantastic, so I'll let him tell you about that in a few minutes. But for those, I have, I think it was Thursday, I got all the prizes for the 1-year giveaway mailed out on Thursday. Sorry, I just got some personal things that I've been doing, so I couldn't get them out any earlier. So they're all in the mail, and y'all should be getting them sometime probably toward the end of the week of next week, because I didn't send them like overnight. Trust me, they're going by snail mail on ground. So yeah, I see you over there, Russ. So anyway, but a great show tonight planned, and we'll get started right off the bat with everybody introducing themselves and telling us where we can find you on YouTube and everything. The first victim is going to be Braxton. Go ahead and tell us where we can find you.
Hello, my name is Braxton Worthland. You can find me on YouTube under my name, Braxton Worthland, or the new BraxtonWorthland.com. That's still kind of under construction, but I've got some info up there on all my social medias. Same, just my name. I'm most active on Instagram. I always post it on there. And thanks for having me, Russ.
No problem. And next in line is Mr. Chris.
Hey, I'm Chris Ahern. You can find me on Facebook at The Old Cranky Workshop, or on YouTube under Chris the Wheeler. And if I'm not there, you can find me down the street at the local pub.
All right, and then next, Mr. Dave Gatton.
Thank you, Russ. I'm Dave Gatton. You can find me on YouTube under Dave Gatton, and you can find me on Facebook under Dave Gatton Sidewinder CNC, and also on Twitter and Instagram.
And then Mr. Russ, or not Russ, I'm sorry, Donald. I'm looking at Russ and because his screen went off and I say his name, but it's Donald.
Now you're going to compare me to Russ? Come on, man.
Well, the time I looked up, his little picture wasn't there anymore. It went to his name, and I'm like, all right, where'd he go? So that's the reason I said it. Hey, when you get to be my age, you might be called a lot of different things.
Hey, I have been. It's no biggie. My name's Donald Matthews. My YouTube channel is Donald Vlogifies Woodshop. You can find all my Instagram and everything there. And my website's redneckknowhow.com.
Great. Next is going to be Mr. Patrick. Patrick Workshop.
Hi, I'm Patrick from Patrick's Workshop. You can find me on YouTube at Patrick's Workshop, and all my social medias are all the same at Patrick's Workshop. I'm most active on Instagram, so check me out over there.
And then Mr. Russ Meadows. Now, I want everybody to, if you're wearing your hat, remove your hat. We're going to have a moment of silence here. Yeah. Russ, let me know this afternoon when we were talking that Russ has had a loss. And I'm really sorry there for you, Russ. You want to explain to him?
Oh, I let the smoke out of my table saw. It's no longer a viable machine, and I've got a hole dug in the backyard.
I'm so sorry for your loss, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I think I'm going to cry.
I didn't know you was going to put me on the spot.
Hey, you never know what I'm going to do. But he was telling me this afternoon, he goes, you know, I think I have a problem. I said, what's that? He goes, is smoke supposed to come out of the motor or the table saw? I'm like, no. All right, Russ, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook under my name, Russ Meadows, or you can find me on my Facebook page of Rusty Nail Woodworks.
When is the memorial service?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. Okay. And then Tommy G.
Yeah, my name's Tommy Gonzalez. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Tommy G Workshop.
And then last but not least me, you can find me. It's under Simply Wooden Creations, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all under Simply Wooden Creations. So that's where you can find me. And then the guest tonight, Mr. Michael Merzke. He did something to his X-Carve that I think is fantastic, and he showed it on YouTube and showed some of the work he performed with it, and it really intrigued me because, and everybody knows I'm not a big fan of the X-Carve, but I mean, I'm not going to slam it either. I know it probably has its uses. It's just when he did that, I was thinking like, wow, this could open up the avenue for a lot of people doing a lot of different things. So, Mike, go ahead and tell us where we can find you, and I'm interested to hear about your what you have added to your X-Carve.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Russ. My name's Mike Merzke. You can find all my links to social media over at my website, merzkecustomwoodworking.com. I'm probably the most active on Facebook. That other stuff confuses me, like the whole Twitter thing. But yep, that's pretty much my info.
Now, how long have you had your X-Carve?
Originally had the Shapeoko 2, and then upgraded my Shapeoko 2 to the X-Carve when they came out with that upgrade kit for that, and then so probably about 18 months or so total.
And what gave you the idea to add? Go ahead and tell them what you put on it.
All right, so yeah, so I took my X-Carve, the latest upgrade, and my X-Carve's gone through quite a journey from the Shapeoko to the X-Carve, and then I increased the size and added like a relay and dust collection and stuff like that to it. But this latest upgrade is the Tech Photonics 2.8 watt laser that I added to the machine. So where I got the idea was a buddy of mine has a laser engraver, and just seeing him post some of the stuff, and he's got one of the big commercial machines, and you know, him and his wife run a business, and they do laser engraving. So, you know, just seeing some of the stuff that he was putting out and stuff, and I've done some really intricate carvings with the X-Carve. I did a V carving out of 24-inch diameter Aztec calendar that just, I mean, had some unbelievable detail and solid mahogany. So, I mean, like I was able to, with carving, to be able to do some really intricate details, but some of the stuff he was doing with a laser, just there's no way any kind of spindle carver could touch it. So started looking around online, and can't remember whether it was I'd found like a YouTube video or it was on one of the CNC forums. Someone was talking about a laser add-on kit, and so I started looking around, and that's when I found the Tech Photonics, their website, and at the time they had they were just advertising it as a kit for the Shapeoko 2, and they had probably about 10 or 15 other different CNC or 3D carvers that their little kit was an add-on to, and so I was actually just about to purchase it when I was like, well, you know what? Let me shoot them a message and see if they'd be willing to play with me. So shot them a message and started talking with the president of the company, and they're a small company, but worked out, and they sent me you know, all the parts and stuff to hook it up to my machine, and kind of went from there.
Now, tell us the website name of that place again.
Okay, yeah, it's jtechphotonics.com is their website.
Great. Get with me at the end of the show if we have a few minutes, and I'll get that or somehow I'll get that information from you. I'll just rewatch the video if I have to. But anyway, because I'd like to post that on to in the information section of the YouTube video for people also, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be interested. So you just probably gave them some business.
Yeah, which is, and I'm sure that's why they agreed to, you know, to work with me on the video and stuff like that. You know, and like with everything else, you know, I searched YouTube to see what was out there, and there was a few other people that had posted a couple videos of using their product, but they were like 30 seconds of cutting something. No one really went into any detail about the machine, how to hook it up and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just kind of saw it as a gap in the marketplace that thought maybe I could fill that gap. So,
anybody on the panel got any questions?
Is there more? Can you do it like on one Dave's machine? Can you put it on something like that?
Yeah, they have on their website. They have, I think right now it's 18 or 19 different machines that they've figured out how to incorporate it with, and both CNC machines and also 3D printers. Because they've got the laser and then the driver. So as long as you have something, like for instance, how it operates is it uses the what normally would be with a standard spindle for doing the speed control for the spindle. It uses that to tell it to turn the laser on and off. And then also, so like on my setup, I have it set up to where I built a 3-way switch to where if I have it on one side, I send the G code, the laser turns on. I flip the switch and my DeWalt turns on. So, and that's kind of their thing. When I was talking to the president, is they designed it specifically to where you could pretty much almost put it on anything that has an XY type of access.
So I'm sure Dave's going to look into that and see if it can. I'm sure it can hook to your machine, Dave.
Yeah, I haven't even checked out the website because I didn't know what the name of it was until he said it just a minute ago. But yeah, I'll definitely be looking into it. And before we went on, when he was talking about the price, it sounds very affordable to me.
Well, and that's the thing, my buddy, when I started asking my buddy about the laser engraving and stuff like that, he was like, "Oh, I'm about to buy another laser engraver. I'll just sell you my old one. I'll sell it to you for $9,000." I'm like, yeah, that's like my whole shop.
See, that's another thing. And when you're saying that he said he would sell you that, I checked into a few years ago into buying a laser engraver, and how I saw it is I went to we have around here several like we have the state fair, the strawberry festival, the citrus festival, and I went to the state fair, and this guy was making these little plaques, like nameplates, using a laser engraver. His almost looked like a copy machine, is the best way to describe it. And he was making these little plaques, and I asked him, I said, "Wow," I said, "that's pretty cool." I said, "About how much would one of those things cost if I decided I wanted to buy one and start producing these plaques?" He says, $10,000. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." But now, you haven't mentioned as of yet, how much did yours cost you?
Mine, no, yeah, I've mentioned it. They sent it to me, so I didn't pay anything.
No. But how much did it cost? How much would it cost, in other words?
Oh, so they sell 2 lasers. One's a 2.8, and it's roughly about, I think. Well, here, let me look it up instead of trying to. It's around $334 for the 2.8. Yep. So let's see.
And then you said the next one was a 3.8.
Yeah, for the 2.8, they sell it for $344.99. I'm sorry, that was the international. For the U.S. kit, they sell it for $334.99, and then the 3.8 watt laser they sell for $474. And they said that the difference is you could roughly, with the 3.8, engrave things about twice as fast. Now,
so
you're not going to be doing like metal engraving and stuff like that, because you're going to need like an 80-watt laser to do that. I mean, so there is limitations to having a lower power laser, but luckily for me, I operate a small woodworking business, so.
So they're a U.S.-based company, Mike?
Yeah, I believe they're down in Texas. But very, I mean, very user friendly. You know, I've called several times. You know, actually get a human being right away, and you know, when I was first hooking it up, I was calling them, you know, probably 3 different times, just, you know, making sure I was doing everything right. And you know, when I had my idea for adding the switch to it, you know, even the president was like, "Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a great idea." You know, just being able to, you know, as far as wiring everything and having it neat to where I could go back and forth, and that was kind of one of the things I wanted. Is obviously having, you know, I hate to say limited space just because I'm very blessed to have a full 20 by 22 car garage for my shop, but it's full. I've kind of filled it to the brim, so adding a capability to the shop either meant, you know, doing something like this where I had, you know, one piece of equipment that did 2 things, or I was going to have to give something up. So being able to do that easily to where I didn't have to pull apart my whole X-Carve to configure it to do the laser. They make this kit to where it's kind of removable, from the 3D printed brackets they make for it to some of the connectors they make for it. So you could, and they recommend if you're not running dust collection on your CNC machine, you probably want to pull that off just so you're not getting a bunch of dust in the electronics and stuff like that. But since I run a dust collection, you know, I just leave everything on there, and you know, and I've easily been able to switch back and forth and done several carvings in between switching.
Now that's another thing real quick, and let's make this clear, because I've already seen people post over here on YouTube on the chat, what kind of things will it cut? This is not a laser like you're thinking to be able to cut stuff. This laser is purely an engraver. Am I right, Mike?
Well, you could cut, but you're talking about you're going to have to take multiple passes because it's a lot. I mean, you think about, I think most commercial laser cutter engravers start out at about 40 watts to on up. This is a 2.8 watt laser.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's mostly designed for engraving, laser engraving.
And they have on their YouTube channel, they show some videos of cutting some stuff, but again, it's multiple passes to where you're going over and again, which, I mean, similar to milling something out of with a CNC, but I think it's specifically, well, it's more catered for the engraving, like you said. You know, I've heard of other people cutting other things like styrofoam with the laser. Doing metal, like metal, it won't even engrave. It's not even powerful enough. So, I mean, there's definitely some limitations. I mean, you get what you pay for.
Right. I know Patrick has an X-Carve. Patrick, you got any questions?
Uh-oh.
You're muted, Patrick. We can't hear you. Either you're muted or your mic's not working. Yep. Anyway, Braxton, anybody?
I did have one question. I don't have any kind of CNC machine, and after seeing all the videos of the X-Carve and stuff, I've been kind of, I wanted one in the beginning. Now I'm kind of like, I don't want one. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, this is a whole new reason to get one, because that's really what I wanted, an X-Carve or any kind of CNC like that for, was to engrave people's logos on the work that I do for them. But my question is, I know it sits to the one side of the spindle. Is that correct? Like, so you keep it on at the same time?
Well, and that's just the way that mount. They design it and it's 3D printed, the mount. I mean, you could mount it. However, on their website they also show to where if you pull the spindle out, kind of, at least for the X-Carve, mounting it inside the spindle bracket. But you could really kind of make your own bracket and install it however.
Gotcha. And so say if you have it sitting off to the side, see I don't know much about CNCs, but would you have to like reset the home position to where the laser would be at the home position instead of the spindle itself or the bit on the spindle? Or
So what I do is, yeah, so like on my wasteboard for my X-Carve, and let me see if I can,
Check.
you there?
there you
Yeah,
go.
Patrick. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me?
Mike. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. We lost
All right.
your video, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, let me trying to get this video up. I was going to show you. So on my wasteboard, I have kind of a marking to where I can set up for my kind of the zero for it.
Okay.
So all I do for the laser is you can turn the laser on the lowest power, and so you can see the laser becomes visible. Then all you have to do is kind of align your board, set it up to where you want it to laser engrave by using that visible laser that's
Gotcha. And I was going to ask that too, if you could turn down the power so you could physically see the dot where it was going to start, and then you position your workpiece there.
Yeah, and that's let's see, there we go. All right, so
you're showing Braxton, man. Don't kid him on me.
yeah, so so this kind of the square that I made up is what I use to kind of set any of my my work up on when I'm doing the CNC. But now if I move let's see. If I move my let me see, let's open this up. If I move my the spindle up to where the spindle would be set as 0, then my laser would be off by, I don't know, what is that, about 3 inches. So that's where, so I just kind of set my workpiece. I'm trying to get this lined up.
Trust me, anytime you're going to do anything live, there's going to be complications.
Oh, I have complications even when it's not live.
Yeah, we've had so many things happen live. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so all I do is, and then I'm sure there's other ways you could actually reset up, in whatever program you use to send the G code, you could set it up to where it offsets to 0. For me, that just seems a little too much like work. So all I do is kind of, once I set that visible laser on, which as soon as this thing goes through its homing, I'll turn on the laser. But while it's doing that, I will show. So the one thing I did, I don't know if some of you saw pictures of it. I did a laser engraving of the Tree of Life, I guess was the thing, and that was one of the things, and that's on Sapali, and then it just did the laser engraving on there. And
that looks great.
And I will say that I mean this is definitely something I'm very new at. So
totally, I understand that you just put this on, but I appreciate, because yeah, that Tree of Life is like awesome, man. I mean, awesome engraved in there. So I know you've just put this on, and I know you haven't totally got it figured out yourself, but when I first saw it, I was thinking like, wow, this is something I think very interesting to a lot of people. So that's the reason I asked you on, and I'm glad you came on. And this is like fantastic. We've had as high as 49 people watching tonight, so there are a lot of people asking a lot of questions. I think the biggest thing, and let's go over this real quick again, and I'll let you go right back, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
the biggest thing people keep on asking is about, is it limited to wood or cutting wood or whatever. And yes, it's pretty much limited to wood and cutting wood. It's more of an engraver than a laser cutter like you're thinking. And even Mike had said it will not engrave even metal. It's not that high powered of wood. Think of it as a wood burner. The same wood burner that you would buy, that you would burn wood with your hand or by hand, is kind of like that. But the thing about it is now I think I'm very talented in a lot of things, but when it comes actually to taking my hand and engraving or carving or doing something, you can forget it. I can produce it on the computer. I can cut it out on the scroll saw. So this would be a fantastic avenue for me to be able to do things that I would never be able to do any other way.
Yeah, the only metal engravings that they say that it can do is like on anodized, something with an anodized finish on it. Supposedly, you know, it can engrave on the anodized finish, but yeah, I guess also like model airplane, people that
styrofoam.
Yeah, either doing the styrofoam, doing or like balsa wood and stuff like that. Soft stuff like that, it'll cut through. So, you know, something like that they might be able to do. But, you know, for me, the big seller was just the engraving. You know,
that's to me is great.
Yeah, I got a couple technical questions here.
Go ahead, Patrick.
The speed when you're using this thing, what is the speed set at? Like how many inches per second?
So, and that's one of the things I'm still playing around with because just like you know, with a CNC, you've got your feed rates. So obviously, depending on the power of the laser and the feed rate you select, it's going to make a difference on, you know, how deep the burn is and how dark the burn is. So there's a lot of that stuff I'm playing with, and basically for the driver. And some of the programs that they have to, and there's a few different options for programs, and they have a couple on JTech's website, like the Pick Laser or the Laser Etch. But when you're setting up the software, you know, you put in all the information as far as what the feed rate you want it to be, and then for like the X-Carve for the way, well, if you're using the gerbils or GRBL, whatever it is, settings, the embeddables, their load, the laser power value goes from basically from 100 to 10,000. They also have a download you can get if you want to use kind of their version of the gerbil, and then there's some different power settings there, but you know, so you're basically controlling the intensity of the laser and then the speed that the carriage is moving, you know, on that XY axis.
My second question is with your X-Carve, using it on the X-Carve like this with your heavy router and your dust collection hooked up, is all that weight and moving back and forth fast or fast carve, does that make any flex?
You kind of broke up there at the end. You're asking just if there's any flex or anything in it?
Yeah, with the weight of everything going so fast, or
does it go fast enough? I was a little concerned at first because I started like the feed. I had that the feed rate for that Tree of Life set at 200 whatever feet per minute or whatever, which is a lot faster than you would carve something on the X-Carve, and had no issues. I mean, that thing, very detailed, very defined, all the leaves, there was no kind of play in it. And I think that kind of comes down to also the setup of your machine. And not to get in an X-Carve discussion as far as pros, cons, or anything, but I know there's been some people that have complained about stuff like that. Well, if you have a machine you're building, some of it will be how you set that machine up, you know.
Exactly.
There's a lot of, you know, and again, that's a whole topic onto its own, but that's one of the things I've always kind of made sure is just everything's kind of tweaked. That way I was getting, and again, doing, even with carving, doing like the V-carve of like that Aztec calendar. I mean, the precision and detail that required. I mean, even something as big as a 24-inch diameter calendar there's just so, I mean, you know, a lot of detail in that calendar. So I was concerned at first. I wasn't sure if I needed to take, you know, like, take off the hose to my dust collection, and I had no issues. I literally, the only thing that I remove, I don't run, is my the dust shoe, just the bristle part of my dust shoe. I just take off, and on that I'm just concerned about it burning accidentally,
setting it on fire.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get one of these. This looks like a asset I can use in my shop for many projects.
Real quick, Mike, what do you? I mean, the reason you bought this obviously is to add an improvement into your shop to be able to make things with it. So, what are you looking at? Because if you were to have bought this as an investment, as far as what are you planning on making off of this? I mean, you plan on obviously making some money off of this, turning out some things on it?
Yeah, and like, there's a million things. I mean, I mean, just from doing like little engraving stuff like that, I've had a lot of clients come to me asking me for either different signs, and some of it had some more intricate stuff, again, that I couldn't carve, or products like my American flag coin rack. I've had a couple clients come to me and ask me about having like different words or whatever engraved on the stripes of the flags, and you could do something like that with like you know, the X-Carve, and then just either you'd have to use something to bring out the contrast in the wood, which I've done a couple other projects where I've even used spray paint and then sanded it down, you know, just to have that contrast, whereas with a laser, you automatically have that contrast. So, and then you have the details to where, you know, one of the ideas, one of the things I want to do with my American flag coin rack is to write part of the Constitution on the stripes of the flag and stuff like that, to where, you know, having a laser. But yeah, even if I had to have paid for this kit, which again, like I said, if I wasn't able to work that deal out with them, I still was going to get it. You know, after doing the research on it and stuff like that, it was definitely a product I knew. There was no way that space and price point that I was going to be able to get into a laser engraving without doing this option. And I'm not sure, I couldn't find any other company. You can get online and you can order the lasers and some of the parts for it from, you know, Chinese manufacturers and stuff. But I didn't see any or couldn't find any other company that put it together to where, you know, where it's a package deal where, you know, the laser driver, the laser, you know, making sure it all works together.
Anybody else? Boy, everybody's being quiet tonight.
Hey, I got a question.
Go ahead.
You say yours is the 2.8?
Yep.
Was I mean, is that the one you wanted? I noticed they have, you know, looks like about a half a dozen different kinds on their website, with the highest being the what was it, 3.8?
Yeah, that
Or is that just what they worked out with you to get?
Well, when originally I didn't really know a whole lot about it when I first started talking to them about it, and going back and forth when, you know, I really didn't mention one, and then they, you know, talk, and they're like, okay, well, what machine you have? And I, you know, told them I had the X-Carve and stuff, and that's what they said. They kind of recommended for it, and then, you know, later on I did say, hey, I noticed you got a 3.8 watt. What do you think about doing that? You know, and kind of going back and forth, and, you know, and the 2.8 is actually their biggest seller. So that was why they said, well, we'd like you to do the video on the 2.8 because that's the one more people buy is the 2.8 watt laser. The only thing you'd really get out of doing the 3.8, you're not going to really be able to do anything more than be able to cut a little bit faster or engrave a little bit faster, which then you do, I think, have to worry about depending on what machine you're using, because obviously you throw a gantry one direction at a certain speed, especially with, and now Dave, I'm not sure how your CNC, how it's driven on the different axis, but like with the X-Carve, using that GT2 belting, you know, if I would throw my gantry, you know, where I'm laser engraving at 400 or 500 inches per second, and then want it to stop and turn around and go the other way, then there is a good chance that I would have some kind of play in it. Either having the belt slips, you know, the NEMA 23s will probably move it that fast. So kind of, you know, talking back and forth with the president, that's where the company, that's where we settled on, you know, the 2.8. Now I don't know enough about it to know whether, you know, I should have fought harder to get like the 3.8. Just go, you know, at this point I had to kind of trust them that capabilities of the machine versus, you know, kind of matching capabilities for what I wanted to do, and then with that, you know, the 2.8, you know, was a good fit, I guess.
Yeah, I was just curious to what the 3.8 would do versus the 2.8, because, you know, it looks like the 3.8 is about 475 right now versus the 345 or something for the 2.8. So.
He said the only difference is you'd be able to cut about, if you were cutting something, you'd be able to cut it about twice as fast.
I see.
That's cool. I got a question here. What's the height of it when you're using it? And when you're using it, does the Z-axis react or anything, or is that set to 0?
So yeah, so that you set it, and you know, they said that they the sweet spot they had found was about 3 inches above the work surface, and I'm still kind of playing around with some of that, because you actually have a lens on here that you can make fine adjustments to kind of get, and on their website they have their blog, they have a whole set of instructions on how to focus and kind of calibrate the laser, and I still need to do, you know, do some more playing around with that, but yeah, so, and that's the way, so when it's sending the G code, it's sending your coordinates for your X and your Y, but instead of sending a Z height coordinates, it's sending a laser power coordinates. And so you can do photo engraving with this laser. Wow. I haven't successfully, well, it didn't turn out how I wanted. I'm still playing around with that because, again, I think I started, and I think I already got rid of the scraps, but I started one of my grandpa's old World War II photos, and it's really dark black and white photo, and I was trying to laser engrave that. And I think it was just too dark, so as it was burning, like you could kind of tell the photo, but I've got a lot more playing around to do with that as far as feed speeds and the laser intensity. But you know, I've seen, and if you look on YouTube and stuff like that, there's a couple videos out there of people have actually done really nice photo engravings, and it looks like a photo.
I'd like to make one point real quick. Somebody said something about the 3.8 and 2.8. Why can't you adjust it? This is you buy these units as a fixed unit. In other words, it's a 2.8 watt laser or a 3.8 watt laser. It is not. You can't increase one or the other or make one or down or the other. That's what you get is what you get.
Yeah, and it doesn't just cut at that, and that's the laser intensity, and that's right. Where I was saying you will be, and that's how you can do different things. So the
right, my point is the wattage of the laser is not adjustable. That's a couple of people were asking that or implied to that. The wattage of the laser is not adjustable. Once you buy whatever you buy, the 2.8, that's all you get.
Is Is it just that it's not adjustable to get more than that in like 2.8 the max, but as it's running, it will do less than that?
No, that's my understanding is that's kind of the max capacity of the laser. So like I could literally set. Let's see.
And I want to point out, people, Mike is not trying to be an expert in this. He just decided to put this laser on his machine. He's done it, and he's been working with it for what, 2 or 3 weeks now, a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And so come on. I asked him on here tonight just to come on and tell us about his experiences, what he's done on this, because I think it's remarkable. I think it's fantastic. So, and Mike, you're doing a fantastic job, buddy. I mean, hats off to you. I appreciate it.
So right now, I just turned the laser on at the lowest setting. So right now, that is purely a visible laser.
Now turn to full blast and put your hand under it.
That's for a different show. When hopefully I'll be getting paid for as I cut my fingers off.
You should try it with a carrot or a hot dog, like to do the saw stop.
That's a good idea. Cook my hot dogs with my laser.
You can write your name on your hot dogs.
Brad's going to be up for that.
Yeah, I cook some hot dogs with the laser.
Yeah, you write your name on the hot dog before you go take it over your saw and slice it up.
Hot dog, then you put it on the grill.
On the grill.
Those are like a photo on a hot dog, and then nobody will take it.
Yeah. It's hot dogs for so-and-so.
I can see the video now. Braxton, are you going to be sitting out there lasering your hot dogs all night?
or you bring your hamburger buns in. You bring your hamburger buns in, and you make a cool logo on them before you eat them.
Yeah.
So this is kind of my setup for the electronics part, and I am in no way. I'm a woodworker. I'm in no way an electronics dude, and this was about maxing my capabilities for wiring.
That looks very organized.
Yeah, that looks fantastic.
Well, and I did that, again, like I said, this version of the X-Carve is actually my third iteration of just X-Carve alone. So I over the other two, mistakes of the other two, I learned that I really needed to kind of organize this, especially when you got a bunch of wires. So I have this relay set up for my shop vac for the dust collection, and then my DeWalt router for the spindle, and that's where this three-way switch is for. So I can literally switch between, turning the switch this way, and now my X-Carve, as far as the DeWalt's on, or if I switch it the other way, the laser, it goes to the laser. And that all works off of the spindle control that was already built into the, like on the G-Shield, it has the two wires that come off the G-Shield for the spindle control.
Cool.
So
I'm definitely interested in getting one of these for my X-Carve.
Make sure you use Mike's name.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Dave, if you want to send me one of your CNCs, I can take it over to Mike's and we can test to see if it fits.
Hey, wait just one second. That CNC belongs to me, buddy.
I believe Dave's giving one away. Are you entered in the contest?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. We'll get to that in just a second. Let Mike finish,
you can't blame a guy for trying.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I mean, does anyone else have any other questions or?
Point to where. All right. Now that you've got that on the side of the of where the router's at and everything, point to where the laser's actually at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's. And let me get rid of this. Get out of the way. So, kind of the anatomy of the laser. So, right here on the side. Is the actual laser here, and again, all the parts that they mounted, both the laser, and this has a fan, which does two things. One, it keeps the laser cool, but then it also kind of blows away any of the smoke or whatever, just kind of keeping a clear path. And then the driver for it is they designed and 3D printed just a small bracket that fits up on top of the Z motor mount plate. And it has, let's see, so you have the wire to the laser, the wires from your spindle control, from your G shield, and then the power, and then you have power for your fan. And then,
Great.
you know, obviously because it is a laser, for safety purposes, they have a lock on it to where you can remove the key and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just got a switch up here, turns on, and it kind of turns on the whole system. So it's
Very cool.
one thing I will say that I was really impressed with, especially since they're not in the X-Carve business, they're obviously in making laser kits, how well their mounts that they designed for the X-Carve. I mean, there's literally like the I mean, it fit perfectly on the Z-axis motor mount plate. I mean, so I mean, everything was very well. I mean, you can tell it's 3D printed as far as the parts and stuff like that. So kind of the fit and finish looks like a 3D printed part, but I mean, perfect fit for it. So again, you know, on their website they have instructions for like 19 other or 18 other different ones. So I'm not sure, you know, if they do kind of the same thing for all of them by creating, you know, mounting and all that other stuff. But
I got one more question. When you're using the actual CNC part, does any of that dust interfere with any of the laser components?
So I try to play nice. I get away with a lot having one, being allowed to have my entire 2-car garage and not have to share it. So I try to keep the dust down to a minimum. So dust collection was kind of a big thing for me. So the way I had the dust collection set up and the dust shoe I purchased from Kent CNC, a little pricey of a unit for a dust shoe, and there's a few different options out there. I know a lot of guys are making their own dust shoes, but for me, I wanted to build other things, not dust shoes. So I just went ahead and bit the bullet and purchased it. But this dust shoe, I mean, does a great job. It collects almost all the dust. I have a shop vac, again, set up on that relay that's for no other purpose but dust collection for the CNC.
Awesome.
So I've had no issue with, I mean, because it collects so much dust that, you know, I don't have any problems with dust getting anywhere.
So you're kind of saying that the dust collection's kind of an essential tool when using the laser?
So, and that's why they made the driver board removable. And that was talking to the president of the company, Jay. That's what Jay said. That was the reason they made that driver board removable, was because of that. So the laser itself you wouldn't have to remove. That's all an enclosed, you know, and it's an enclosed case. But the laser driver board is just, you know, set up on top of there, and it's exposed. So, you know, he recommended that if you didn't have dust collection on your CNC machine, that if you were using the actual CNC portion, to go ahead and remove the driver board. And that's why they designed it with quick disconnects for all the wires. Now I went ahead and just hardwired everything in because I like as little work to go between one thing or another.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I'm lazy.
Anybody else have a question real quick?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had another one, Mike. You said you weren't a electronics guy, and neither am I. I'm more of a mechanical guy. So when you got that thing, did you have any difficulties, you know, following the directions, or you know, was the directions good on it?
Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed, and that was one of the things. Like, they had mailed me the kit before they had even put up they were mailing me the kit while Inventables, they were getting some of the X-Carves from Inventables to work the actual installation piece of it. And so very shortly after I got the kit in the mail, they put all their stuff up on their website for the instructions. So that was one of the things that, you know, Jay was like, hey, you know, we just posted these instructions, so you know, as you go through it and you install it, if you find errors or if they don't make sense or, you know, whatever, you run into any issues, please let us know so we can fix them. And I gotta say, it was pretty easy to follow along. Trying to think, I really didn't have any issues. The only issues that was kind of was on the part I kind of was doing myself with that three-way switch. When I first wired it up, I think I wired it up wrong and it did nothing. But you know, a little playing around with that and I got it to work.
Real quick, Mike, if you don't mind telling everybody what is your, it's okay to say that, what's your full-time job?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Army. I am military police. I've been in the Army for a little over 20 years now. So
I think we ought to tell Mike. Yeah, thank you for your service, and everybody give him a big round of applause.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
Yep. I really appreciate that, Mike. Thank you for your service very much.
Oops. I'm paying taxes.
All right, real quick. I've had a few questions in over here. One guy said that I can't remember his name. I'm looking back. My stupid computer don't want to work right sometimes. Said that he wanted to do portraits, and he liked the idea of being able to do portraits and stuff, have them laser engraved onto the wood and stuff. So I thought that was pretty good. I don't see anything. Go
really
ahead.
Looking forward to getting that part of it figured out. That Tree of Life, the whole idea behind this, one of the things me and my wife are doing for in our own living room. That's not a client project. That's something for us.
Yeah, I think
we got this big wall, and we want to kind of make this big collage, but of different different mediums. So I did some photo transfers, some old photos that we're going to put up there and kind of spread throughout, and then I want some. I did took some red oak, and I don't know if you can see that I burn it with a torch, and then I V-carved into it just a branch. You know, that's going to be up there. I want to do some photo laser engravings of some different photos of, you know, us and our family and stuff like that, and just kind of have different mediums. She took a small board, and my wife's very artistic. She's done a lot of painting and other stuff like that, and she painted along the grain lines of this piece of wood, and actually just by using the grain lines, it turned out looking like a silhouette of like a mountain scenery and stuff on it just by following the grain lines and stuff. So we're going to do a bunch of stuff like that. But
sweet.
Hey Mike, that one engraving you were showing earlier, the circle tree or whatever it was.
Yeah.
What? It looks like that's, I don't know, from here it looks like it's about 8-9 inches diameter or something like that. What was the cycle time to do that?
I want to say this one took about, it was a little over 2 hours, I want to say. I am terrible with timing stuff because I usually, like with the CNC or with this laser, I'll get it set up and going, and then I'm off doing something else. So I usually have about 6 different things going on in the shop. I want to say it took a little over 2 hours to do.
Okay.
Hey Mike, have you tried to see how small you can get an image and still keep
clarity?
Clarity, yeah.
Played around a little bit with it, not a whole lot. That's one of the things I want to do. I tried doing the Aztec calendar, burning that today, to like a 4-inch circle, and I was using plywood, like some cheap craft plywood, and I think that was the issue. So it was turning it more into just a black circle.
That's awesome. Still an awesome product. I definitely want one.
Yeah, I think it's awesome too. So
yeah,
it's pretty good. That's pretty good. And I know a few people over here are like, well, $400 or $500, but let me tell you, $400 or $500 is not anything. I mean, that's very affordable compared. Go out and try to price a actual laser machine for engraving and stuff.
Yeah, they're $6,000 plus.
Yes, they six plus all the way up to 10,000. So if you have even spending the $1,200 on the X-Carve and then the $400 for the machine, you're still way better off. And then Dave's got his machines, his small machine. He's running there for like, what does your small machine run, Dave?
Well, it depends on how much of it they want. If they want the whole thing, you know, it's still well, the rolling chassis is $499, and then the lead screws and all that I think is $299. So you know, and then depending on what kind of stepper motors or controller you add to it, you're still probably around $1,200 or so.
Okay, so still at $1,200, but then adding $400 on top of that $1,200, so you're looking at $1,600. That's still a far cry between $6,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, and I think it goes into, you know, kind of, it's like with any other tool purchase and stuff like that. I don't know. You just start talking tools with people, and everyone gets in an uproar. You know, you mention the F word or the S word, and everyone goes nuts over it. Or you've got the flip side of it, and you mention, you know, Harbor Freight, and everyone starts, oh, I would never own the Harbor Freight.
Oh, yeah.
Well, whatever. Some people, you know, that's their thing. They want to talk about tools. I'd rather actually do something, and whether it's Harbor Freight or whatever, I don't think the tool's so much important. But I think it's exciting that we're living in a time now to where that kind of stuff is available to the little guys. I mean, everything goes into my shop, I have to justify it as part of my business. You know, and that just kind of tied into, you know, where I'm at, you know, I've been in the Army 20 years. I know it's not a forever thing. I've got a couple more years, and I've got to have something else. And that's what I hope to be is my woodworking business, and that's why 2 years ago I actually officially started a business making things out of wood. So, you know, again, you know, if I didn't get this from them, you know, in exchange for doing a video, I would have purchased that because you know, when I first purchased the Shapeoko 2 CNC machine, it was $650. My first commission job was like a $600 job using the Shapeoko 2. The first commission job paid for it. So, you know, when you talk about justifying things, you know, if you're a hobbyist, you know, depending on your disposable income, you might not be able to justify it. But
all right.
If you wanted to add enough, you'll justify it.
Price range.
Yeah.
There's a level for every price range, you know. Depending on what you can afford is what you should get, you know.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford the F word and the S word, you know, in their shop.
But at the same time, don't hate on someone that does.
Yep, exactly.
I agree.
That's why my Harbor Freights and stuff like that are a mechanism for getting me to where I can afford the F words. And
yeah, that's what you do, man. You start off cheap and you make money with those cheap tools and you upgrade along the way.
All right, guys, we're rocking down to the end of the show. Want to bring up one thing before we get off here, and that is, Dave, how are we doing on entries onto the for the the CNC giveaway?
Well, Russ, I had a feeling you were going to ask me that, so I looked just recently. You know, at this time last week, I told you we had 365 entries, and we have just shy of 500 entries right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, sorry guys, your odds are getting worse.
Yeah, that is awesome, and I keep telling you, I think we're going to hit 1,000 before it's over with.
Might very well, yeah, because we still got, what, 3 weeks from
3
today?
weeks. Yeah, we still got 3 weeks, so that's great, guys. Go ahead, tell them all about it real quick, Dave, before we get off here.
Oh, well, there's a demo CNC machine. It's one of the new GarageWorks 24x18 models that I built as a demo just to kind of kick the tires on it and make sure everything worked right. It's got about 2 hours worth of runtime on it, and it's in the way in my shop because it's sitting right in the middle of my shop and I'm tired of walking around it. And I thought it would be fun to just do a giveaway and do it live here on Russ's show. So pretty excited about that. Like I said, we've got almost 500 entries and still about 3 weeks to go. So really looking forward to a fun night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I might not even win the darn thing because if I do, I know we're never going to hear the end of it. It'll be automatic setup. But yeah, I'm excited about that tonight and giving it away.
I just hope whoever I draw, I can pronounce their name because I've been getting a lot of really weird names.
Yeah, that's true. Well, guys,
it's Matthews.
And keep practicing Braxton.
Mine's really easy. Russ. So, guys, thank you for being here. Braxton, Chris, Dave, Donald, Mike.
Can I mention something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
James Green, his pen challenge starts tomorrow, so take a look at his channel to get involved in the pen challenge. It's for the Warriors, so
yeah, the one, for the veterans, where they're gonna, if you don't mind me, if you turn a pen, they're gonna send it to the veterans. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. He's James Green? Is he on? Is James Green on YouTube?
Yes, it is.
Stress-free
woodworking. Yeah.
Stress-free woodworking. So if you get a chance, go over to Stress-free Woodworking over on YouTube and look that up. He's doing a pen challenge, and the pens that you turn will be shipped overseas to the veterans serving our country. So that's a very good thing. Also,
out there in the chat right now, you can click right on his name and go straight to his channel. Just James.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, James.
If you're watching live, yes.
So another thing is the Maritime Woodworker Show is right after mine. Actually, I think they've already started. I'm sorry we went over a little bit, but they're Maritime Woodworkers. Click over on YouTube. You can watch their show. I appreciate it, guys. And then Patrick, thank you for being here tonight. Russ Meadows, Tommy G. Thank all you guys. Thank every one of you who have been over there. And there's too many of you who've been on the chat for me to even start to name off names. We've went as high as 53 people watching us over on YouTube. And I want to tell you guys, that is absolutely awesome. I cannot thank y'all. Not only the panel, but I can't thank y'all enough for your support over there. That really means a lot to me. Thank you, guys. And just remember before we get off here, if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust, you're just too darn busy. Thanks and God bless.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.